Thank you. Welcome, good morning, welcome to you here in Dubai, and welcome to our online audience. My name is Jan Zopf. I'm heading the media team at the World Economic Forum, and this is the opening press conference of the World Economic Forum annual meeting on cybersecurity and the Global Future Councils Network. So for the first time, we bring these two events together, and we're gonna have a press conference here to talk about what to expect in the coming days and also the context in which this is taking place. So we have our distinguished panel here. Borge Brende, who's President and CEO of the World Economic Forum. His Excellency Khalfan Belhoul, who's CEO of the Dubai Future Foundation. Ms. Sienna Lawson, Minister of Digital Economy and Transformation of Togo, and Mr. Neil Jetton, Director of the Cybercrime Directorate at Interpol. Thank you very much for being with us today. I'm going to start with you, Borge Brende. Can you give us a little bit your thoughts when we hear about to kick off these meetings?
Thank you very much, Jan, and I think it's still good morning, isn't it, to also the media, and welcome to what we think is the biggest brainstorming meeting in the world. We have 800 experts now gathering for 2 days, looking at the most pressing issues in the world. We do admit that we are seeing this meeting happening against the most complex geopolitical backdrop in decades, I would say since 1945. But at the same time, I'm also underlining how resilient the global economy has been. We were fearing that the geopolitical situation would have even worse effects on the global economy. Global economy, we are still expecting growing 3% this year. It's not what it used to grow, like closer to 4%, but there are also some prospects for a little bit of increase of global growth next year, maybe 3.2, 3.3%. So that is also happening in a situation where we are seeing a lot of uncertainty. The biggest tariff that we're faced with is uncertainty. We are seeing a changing trade landscape, where we're expecting that trade in manufactured goods will even decline this year. And trade overall will still grow maybe around 0.5. But that's because of trade in services, and digital trade is increasing so much faster. But in the past, trade used to be the engine of growth. Now trade is growing much slower than the overall growth. And what is driving growth now? I think the new technologies. If you look at the United States of America, the largest economy in the world, 25% of the global GDP, 5% of the global population. This year only, we expect that there is investments of $500 billion in artificial intelligence. And those investments is really what is now growing the US economy together with the consumption and increasing productivity already. So what we are looking at here among the experts is that the new technologies is changing the world faster and at a pace we haven't seen for decades. We're really facing the second industrial revolution. There's been said that there's many industrial revolutions. I will put forward today this notion that it was one big industrial revolution, and now we're facing the second industrial revolution, and these are the new technologies and the frontier technologies. AI can increase productivity by 10% in the next decade, but it's also going to change a lot of jobs and also going to increase competition between countries. So what we aim for here at the World Economic Forum is even in the polarized, fragmented world, there needs to be overlap in interests. So the biggest challenges we're faced with can only be dealt at the global level. Is there future pandemics, cybercrime? As I mentioned earlier this morning, there are different numbers here. The experts can comment on it, but some people already think we're losing $2 to $3 trillion every year in cybercrime. That's 3% of the global GDP. I saw someone also mentioning that it's increasing in an exponential way. And I think all nations should agree that cybercrime is not a good idea. So we should fight it together. This is stealing money from people. And so we want to also show that even in a world where the multilateral systems are not working the way they did, there will be a need for cooperation. And that's why I believe also we need at least plurilaterals where countries and companies that are willing to get together can come together and form alliances of the willing, and that can pave way for broader international agreements in the years to come. So a few reflections from my side, and I also would like to extend my big thanks to the government of Dubai, the government of UAE. We have had this very, very strong cooperation. This is our 16th meeting and for the Global Future Councils. It's unique, and we are so pleased to have these experts also shaping the agenda in the run-up to our annual meeting in Davos. That's unique. So big thank you also to Dubai and the UAE.
Thank you very much, Borge, for those insights. Your Excellency, Borge alluded to cyber risks, rapid pace of technological change. So you had the Future Foundation. How do you prepare for the future? And how will you use also the insights that we're getting throughout the coming days, for what you do?
Yeah. Do I need a mic, I think?
No,
or I can speak freely?
Good, yes.
Okay. I mean, first of all, good morning, everyone. Great to see you here, and an honor to be here with everyone on the panel. And President Brandy, great to see you as always. Great to see our friends from the World Economic Forum, which is, I think, a single family that and a relationship that we are extremely proud of. If I think about, first of all, the overarching relationship between the government of the UAE and the World Economic Forum, spanning from our involvement with the forum for so many years, our representation, and from what I believe is probably the third largest delegation behind what I hear US and Switzerland, maybe. I mean, those are the numbers that we hear, but we're right up there, which also makes us extremely proud with our representation. We're also proud in having one of the, if not the first affiliate C4IR Center, which is also a moment of pride for us. And of course, the GFC, which is our focus today. So, so many efforts, so many relationships really show that this partnership is going from strength to strength. And with your note today, it was refreshing to hear from you again, President Brandy, and it really shows how we're actually like-minded and looking at the future in a very similar way. Before I allude into your topic, if you allow me, I think we have constantly in the past have stressed, and it was music to my ears hearing President Brandy talk about the importance of dialogue, because more than ever, we need this dialogue to actually happen. And the reason I'm saying more than ever is we've always liked to promote those platforms, whether it's the C4IR or the councils with all the members here, that they should act, and this was the word that we have been using, those efforts should act as nodes of conversation that convert action. And we have been repetitively saying this. Now, the reason I'm saying this is more important than ever is because of the topics that have been mentioned, whether the geopolitical fragmentation, whether the thrive of the digital economy. I mean, back in the early days, when I was young at least, business was around the confined space. When digital economy has opened up, a click of a button right now and the whole world becomes your market. So how can we actually regulate that? So going back to President Brande's comment on dialogue and listening to everyone, we had to, at that time, figure out ways on how does this digital economy work on a global basis. You click a button here, you have clients from all over the world coming to you. How do you regulate that? So those were the first baby steps of a global conversation that needs to be resolved from a digital economy perspective. Fast forward now, we're talking about, of course, the beast of an AI, which I've heard very positive people talk about it today, which I totally agree with, that this is something that we can extract, we can understand, and we can create so much value from. But there's, of course, the question mark on how do we actually do that. I think the only way is to stay positive, like what everyone has mentioned previously, but come up with some way to create some kind of a guideline, some kind of a conversation. Now, the kind of the effect of this big impact that artificial intelligence will create are also the scary numbers we've seen on the slides, which is the trillions of dollars that can come from the cyber threats and the cyber attacks and the opportunities, but at the same time the risks that are happening from this growth in the artificial intelligence era, if you will. And with that, I think there's no other way and there's no other approach more reasonable than what has been mentioned, which is really having joint conversations with like-minded individuals, like-minded leaders, like-minded entities to come up with those solutions. And this is why we believe, the focus on cybersecurity in this specific version of the GFC is so important for us. And the idea is for us to really, at Dubai Future Foundation, through this effort, is really to try and extract those conversations, convert them into tangible outcomes, tangible action plans, tangible guidelines, tangible toolkits that can really help us create a pathway that is positive when it comes to applying all those artificial intelligence capabilities while mitigating in the most efficient way those cyber attacks and creating a cybersecurity platform, maybe easier said than done, that's unified, aligned, and is global. And I can easily say it, but I think having those conversations in the next 2 days will surely help us come up with something that is clearer for everyone, listening to everyone, and coming up with tangible outcomes. We're blessed in the UAE, like I said, to have a very mixed environment. More than 200 nationalities live here, so we really have samples of the world sitting at our grasp here, so it gives us an idea on how to work with different nationalities, with different communities. But that's not enough. I think we need those platforms, we need the support of the World Economic Forum, and we need other like-minded leaders and executives to be part of this journey. And I think GFC can be a great platform for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Minister Lawson, so you are a member of the Global Future Councils, and you're also Minister of Digital Economy and Transformation. So how do you envisage kind of the discussions? What do you expect from them, and what will you take home?
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. I co-chair one council, which is the one on GovTech and digital public infrastructure. And one of the reasons why I think it's important to be part of such a network is that, as you said, you have over 700 or 800 experts coming from 93 countries. So when we talk about digital public infrastructure, for example, it's extremely important to be able to discuss with experts coming from various parts of the world. That's one thing. The second thing is that the idea we had was to come up with innovative ideas and projects, actually, and also share experiences that we had in Togo, for example. During the pandemic, we were able to very quickly build a DPI based on payments. It was a mobile payment platform to give financial aid to the poorest of our citizens. And so we built a bit of experience with regards to that. And after the pandemic, we wanted to do two things. We wanted, one, to add new DPIs to our digital backbone. For example, digital identity, or another DPI on data exchange. And so we thought that having the opportunity to sit down with people who've done it before or who've done it differently would add value to what we were doing. So I think that that's what the WEF offers in terms of opportunity, and that's why the councils are important. The other thing is that even if I'm part of one council, I had the opportunity to also sit and discuss with people working on various subjects. Cybersecurity, we were earlier discussing cybersecurity in Africa, and so on and so forth. So I think that that's also the strength of the World Economic Forum, is that you come here for 2 days and you meet with everybody really, and you have all these discussions and interactions. And you mentioned artificial intelligence. That's also an area that we've been discussing quite a bit, and you want to make sure that you have international cooperations when you discuss about these matters. And I think that's what the World Economic Forum and the councils provide us with.
Thank you very much, Minister, and good to hear also how you use the insights then for your national impact. Mr. Jettin, so you have been also involved for several years with us. So what is your approach going into this meeting, and also what are really the cyber challenges that we should all have on the radar?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. So it's a privilege to be here. So just briefly, so Interpol, it's 196 member countries. So you look across, and some are very well resourced to combat cybercrime. Some of our member countries are obviously less so. And you've heard the numbers a few times here about global cyber, losses contributed to cybercrime in the trillions. And I think it's supposed to increase by, somewhere in the 142% in the next couple of years. At least that's the last statistic I saw. And so no matter what country I'm dealing with or what region, we have the opportunity to connect with law enforcement. And regardless of where we are, it is always cybercrime that they raise their hand and say that this is the biggest issue that we're having. And so coming to the meeting here at the World Economic Forum allows me to connect with people who are also thinking about this problem and challenges from different perspectives. I look at things through the lens of law enforcement and Interpol tries to be the voice of that on the global scale. But you look at, we don't know everything. And so I get asked questions about quantum or about AI or about all these emerging tech issues that are coming up. And we do have people in Interpol working on that. But as far as my team, maybe we don't have those experts embedded. But here at the World Economic Forum, you do. And so that allows me to connect with people from the private sector, from government, from all different areas, from academia, to come and we bring them in. We are very good about bringing them into our team and letting them talk to our member countries directly and teach us. And I want to say the connection with the World Economic Forum is not just this meeting. It's not just us going away, convening one time, a year, and then going our way separate directions. For us, the World Economic Forum really is a partnership. So for the past several years, we have been partnered with World Economic Forum, where they have actually provided training and support to our operations. And so we had some very successful operations this year, including Serengeti in Africa. And a lot of that is contributed, I would say that a huge part of why we were successful is because of partnerships, and the World Economic Forum has been a huge partner for us, including just providing tabletop exercises during coordination meetings, but also through their Cybercrime Atlas and providing us intelligence that helps drive our operations. So for us, we take this forward. In fact, I was at a breakfast this morning, and we're doing an operation. We're planning something in the Americas region for the first time for the Cybercrime Directorate, and at the table there was somebody, an official from the Americas region. I was like, oh, it just happens to be that you're sitting right here, and it's something that I can bring that's tangible in a relationship that I can bring and help our member countries and help this operation. So for us, it really is something that we connect with and we carry out throughout the year.
Thank you very much for sharing those insights. We have time for a couple of questions. So if you would like to ask a question, please, before introduce yourself, stick to the topics of this press conference. And meanwhile, I will just remind you that the hashtag is AMGFCC25, so for you also online. Frank, here in front, yeah, you could quickly introduce yourself. It's on. Yes.
Frank Haynes, Arabian Golfers. Thank you very much for the press conference. Brenda, in particular, trying to identify fractures, polarized, and for the forum itself, the past 12 months or so. Okay. I'm wondering how and where relevant, fractured, volatile, changing world.
Thank you, Frank. Brenda. Yeah, it's on.
So, excellent question. In my view, both the relevance and the need for the World Economic Forum as an impartial organization where we thrive also for public-private cooperation in a fragmented world is bigger than ever. Because what can we do at the World Economic Forum? We are able to get all the relevant players in the same room. We are an organization that have partners from all over the world. We are as American as we are European, and as European and as African as we are European. We also have great partners in Asia. So when we gather people, like we're doing here from all the different nationalities, we are able to bring also players that don't see things the same way in the same room. That is not kind of given these days. That's how polarized the world is. That people don't even want to meet necessarily in the same room if they don't agree. And how can you then create any kind of agreements if you don't even meet? That's why we're also planning for our annual meeting in Davos. We're planning for a theme around the spirit of dialogue, And I think also in a situation where the world is more indebted, countries, than at any other time since 1945, we also need to bring the private sector on board. Because if you want to really get things done now, you have to do it in public-private cooperation. And many organizations are very opinionated. And that's also part of the global dialogue. But the strength of the forum is that we are an impartial organization, as mentioned. So we get the people, key players in the room. And in a MAGA world, it's not only a situation where we have Make America Great Again, we have Make India Great Again, we have Make China Great Again. Even in such a world, there will be overlap in interests. But to identify those overlap in interests and be able to move the needle, we need to have them in the same room to identify that. And we think that this is at the core of also our mission, to bring people together in the spirit of dialogue and see where we can find overlap in the self-interest of different players. And that's important. And I think we can make a difference. If you look now in, of course, this meeting is very successful. We have more than 800 experts, but a lot of people are also, and journalists asking about our annual meeting coming up in January. We have more people signed in for our annual meeting in Davos than any other point. in our 55 years of history. So I think this is a sign that people want to get together and connect the dots and understand and decipher the world, because there's so much uncertainty. As I said, the highest tariff is uncertainty. But to decipher, understand, also, if you want to build more resilience, you do need to understand where are the vulnerabilities. Sorry for that long answer, but it's an important question.
Yes. Thank you very much, Børge. Do we have one last question before we close? Here, Jennifer. Could you introduce yourself, please? Yeah.
Thanks. My question is for Minister Lawson. We've talked during the press conference various angles on AI, and I wanted to ask you about digital infrastructure, public service AI. I've just come from Tallinn, where the Estonian government has announced a global first, basically implementing AI into all public schools. And they ended up forming a public-private partnership and doing deals with OpenAI and Google for their chatbots because there were no local alternatives, either in Estonia or in Europe as a whole at the moment. So this is something that all governments are facing because they want their populations to be upskilled. They see AI as being a driver of economic growth, but right now, pretty much everyone is dependent on US models. How do you see your government and governments worldwide developing public service AI, and is there a way to do that together?
So,
thank you, Minister.
Thank you. That's a great question. You know, as the minister in charge of digital transformation, for a long time I was doing digital transformation, which is from paper to screen, really. I mean, even if, you know, we were able to be more efficient, it was still from paper to screen in an environment where some, you know, a large number of the population maybe was not educated and so on. And then AI changed everything because AI will enable us to offer services through phones, really. And so the idea now is to move away, not to move away, to have multimodal ways to deliver public services and enabling our citizens to have access to these services just by making a phone call in local languages. So then the question is, if you have to make a phone call in a local language, knowing that Togo, we are 8 million inhabitants and we have 42 dialects, and you want to be as inclusive as you can because you're the government, right? You need to build LLM in all the dialects, and it's a tough one, right? And so obviously you have to address, and so we went to see, you know, the OpenAI, Google, and so on, because what are you going to do? You can fine-tune a model, but you're still going to want to take something that is proven and that works. And it's a great question because the African Union has an approach with regards to AI which says that we want to focus on use cases. We want to use AI to solve our immediate problems. For example, in education, we know that the continent lacks math and science teachers, for example, and we don't have the money nor the time to hire and train all these math teachers, and you don't need them anymore. I mean, not that you don't need. Don't quote me saying you don't need math, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying that with AI today, you have the opportunity to have an AI tutor. So then it's a matter of the two things. First, to have the infrastructure, you know, and second, to partner. And again, I don't know with whom we're going to partner because it's also going to be a cost issue, right? Because if Estonia can go and sign up with one of the large companies, I'm not sure that the continent can do the same. But that's an approach that we want to undertake because we feel that there is an urgency to better train our citizens, to give access to new services, for example, in health. The fact that a model can provide better diagnostics sometimes than humans, provides us with a lot of opportunities, and the challenges are the ones that you said, which is that you don't have that many providers, right? And so, yeah, that's the type of but you see, that's also why I would say that the World Economic Forum is important, because then you come and you can have these conversations with OpenAI and so on, because it's all about international cooperation. Say, maybe we don't have enough, maybe buying a model is going to be extremely costly, and mind you, there is also the conversations around GPUs and access to GPUs, and let's not have this conversation. But when you sit down and you start thinking of what is it that you can trade, you know, we have data sets, we can build things together. What we would want as a country and as a continent is to make sure that nobody comes and provides us with something, because what we want, and that's I would say the new Africa, or what the youth want, is that we want to be part of our solutions. We want to be able to train the models alongside, you know, these large corporations. So it will be a matter of solving the infrastructure problem, and also training our experts to have the appropriate skills to be part of this conversation, I would say.
Thank you very much. We're running out of time, but It's a fascinating conversation that you certainly can continue. So thank you very much again to this distinguished panel, and I wish you all fruitful discussions in the coming days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Just the same.